All right. 1, 2. What's going on, guys? Angel Talamontes here with Click Leads Local, and this is your local Realtor Spotlight podcast. And today we're with Ken Rife of the Rife Group. Troy, with the intro.
Oh, super excited. Troy Thompson with Pinnacle Insurance. I sell insurance, auto and home insurance, and we couldn't be more excited to have Ken Rife here in the studio today to talk about basically who he is, talk about the Rife Group, talk about Axia Mortgage. I'm here to be your hype man a little bit, Ken.
And I appreciate it. I need hype.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mortgage lending isn't typically hypeable, but that's good.
Let's do it. We're going to do our best today, right?
Exciting stuff.
Oh, no doubt.
Maybe an arm wrestle at the end if everyone stays.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Let's get that on video. That'd be
Right?
fun. So, super easy question. You can probably answer this in one sentence.
Okay.
Who is Ken Rife?
Who is Ken Rife? Let's see. That's a good one. I'm a mortgage lender, obviously. Native Minnesotan. Grew up down in Mankato. Dad to 4 kids. Beautiful wife. Pretty much keeps everything running. Really excited to have taken the venture into what I'm doing today and have what I've got through the business that we've built. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hard worker. Try to really keep family first, and that's a little bit about me.
Absolutely. I mean, you got such a good story, too, that we talked about earlier. I'd like you to share that with our audience. And by the way, we are live right now, so anybody out there listening that might have some questions about buying a home or selling a home or the mortgage process or Ken's process, excuse me, feel free to put those questions or comments in the comments section, and we'll be sure to let Ken know about those and ask him those questions and let him know that you're watching. But Ken, you do have an amazing story, and there was that one time that was a pretty powerful moment for you that made you kind of start 10xing your mortgage business and just crushing it. Could you kind of go back, tell us how you got into mortgages, and then what that point was where you just started dominating?
Yeah. So I think a lot of lenders, and whether we admit it or not, I don't know that there's any way to start other than from the very bottom and hitting rock bottom. It's kind of an interesting industry where the lessons you learn in this industry with regards to guidelines and mistakes that you make are lessons learned in blood. I mean, there's no real like, hey, I messed up, but it's okay, we're fine. It's, hey, I messed up, we got some problems, right? So you have those moments, and I started in a large banking environment, one of the big banks, right out of college, and I would never say that banking was a passion of mine coming out of schooling. That wasn't what I dreamed to be when I was 4 or 5 years old, but it was an industry that initially I fell into. I wouldn't say I was passionate about it at the time. I fell into it, right? And the job immediately after that, when I decided to dedicate myself to doing it, or thought that I was dedicating myself to doing it, was a position where I had no idea what I was really doing. When it's all said and done, in the banking environment for lending, you're there, you've got to be a professional, you got to know what you're doing, but you're kind of an order taker. You're sitting there all day, you're on call, and you're there to serve customers that typically come in. This new world of lending was, hey, I've got to get out there and start evangelizing my business. But I didn't have an identity. I didn't have any real skills. I didn't even have a good whiffum, what's in it for me type pitch for my clients, right? Like I didn't have anything that made people go, yeah, I want to use Ken, right? Because I didn't have an identity. So I want to say for about a year, I kind of languished in obscurity and no production. And
do you have any kids at that point?
I had 1 kid, and we were not doing well. Bless my wife for sticking around with it and trusting in the process. And one day I just said, I've got to really figure this out, and I got to put this is my responsibility. People aren't going to be walking into my office. They don't have a reason to want to do that. And the hard part is I had to get good at my craft first. So it was kind of like that moment, like The Pursuit of Happiness. Anyone seen that movie?
Oh, I love that movie.
That's a great movie, right? Awesome movie. And it's that scene where Will Smith has to make a choice like, hey, we can teach you this, and by the way, you get paid $0 a day for doing it, right? Like, could you guys imagine doing that?
Oh.
Like, I'd be like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, but no thanks. I literally had that moment where it's like, listen, I can learn this industry and become an asset to my clients and my realtor partners and my insurance referral partners and in general, but I'm pretty much going to have to go through like 60 days of making absolutely nothing, because when you're putting your nose in a guideline book and you're online doing webinars and stuff, you're not out selling, you're not out creating new relationships. So I did that. And, you know, good things happened. You know, I got out there after that point and started knocking on doors and getting
knocking doors, baby.
agents and, you
It's
know,
like Pursuit of Happiness.
It
right?
is. It really is. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. I wasn't sleeping in a subway bathroom by any means, but you
With
know,
your first child.
right, with my first kid. But you know, and then you know things. You know, luck played a little bit of a part in that. I was able to form a business relationship with people that are some of our best friends now, you know, and for example, one of the big teams we work with, you know, great friends of ours, we're, you know, connected at the hip on a personal level. And I think that that's kind of been the formula for our group, is that we care so much personally about that relationship. It really does make a difference. And with all the agents that we work with, group up in Northeast Minneapolis, we just connect on a level that works really well. You know what I mean? And it's to a point into my business now where I get to choose partners that have the same values, have that same drive to perform at a high level. And we've been really lucky in being able to have relationships like that. That just builds off of, you know, the previous stuff. So it's
good.
Cool stuff.
You're a young guy.
Yep.
And I want to talk more about your family. You have 4 beautiful daughters, a beautiful wife, and you're only 30 years old. And when I was 30, I didn't even know how to wash my clothes. You know?
I still don't know how to do that.
We're working on that.
Washing clothes.
But you make enough money to But seriously, I want to go back into the business aspect of things. Like, what came first, the friends or the business relationship?
The business relationship, for sure. You know, when you're you know, looking at your bank account every day and realizing you might not have enough to pay the mortgage next month, you really do have to prioritize and say, hey, listen, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do whatever it takes to, you know, earn my side of things and earn my keep. But the thing that keeps great real estate agent and lender relationships together, number one, there's accountability on both sides, right? Both sides have to be good at what they do, or the other side's going to get real sick of that real fast, right? Like if I'm working with Angel and we're working on video shoots and he's doing a terrible job, but I like the guy personally, we're probably not going to have a business relationship for very long, right?
We might have a beer still.
Maybe, depends. But if Angel's buying, yeah, for sure, you know, for sure. But, you know, I think it's such a hard balance to find, and it really is. And you deal with that in your day-to-day relationships. There's going to be professionals in the industry that you're going to fire and say, hey, this just isn't worth it, you know? Yeah, and I like the guy, just, every time I get a client with them, something always goes wrong, right?
Sure.
And being at this level of what we've done and how we've built, we're able, it's a luxury that we're very blessed to have, is that we get to say yes or no to the partnerships that we form. Not to say that we're better than anyone, it's just, hey, do we work really well with this real estate agent? And clients sometimes don't realize it, and I love to say real estate, insurance. Actually, insurance is one where you can correct the mistake, right? I went with another guy at State Farm, and I really liked Troy, I trusted him, and I went with him, and never mind, I'm going to go back to Troy. But
we'll reach out to you in 9 months and see if we can get you back.
But like in real estate, I always say it's kind of interesting, like, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Like, if the client makes the decision to go that other direction, they're gone. You being right is irrelevant. They've already bought the home, they've already gotten the loan, they've already gotten financing. That's done. It's kind of done.
And so it's about every, 5-6 years that somebody moves?
Yeah, maybe. Like something along those lines. And you know, so what we try to do is we try to educate up front, and we try to have that. But the relationship with the lender and the agent, it really is important. You know what I mean? There's a lot of protections out there federally about things that you can and can't do with an agent. But I can tell you, a personal recommendation from a real estate agent is very valuable because of the fact that, you know, you have that trust that's been built. There's a workflow that the lender and the agent are in. And so that's a big part of why the Rife Group has succeeded in 2018 and hopefully beyond, is because we have a process that works with agents, and we have a process that works with our partners that we pick and
Your
we want
clients,
to work
too.
with, and with our clients, for sure.
Absolutely.
So-
On that, we have actually a Facebook question, and the question is, what's the common denominator between the people you work well with, and what's the common theme between those that you've stopped working with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's two phases to it. Number one is I work really well with and again, it's going to be different for every lender, right? There's going to be lenders with different tolerance levels for different things. I think the big thing is that we're professionals and we know our job, and some lenders admittedly don't. And ask Ken Rife 7 years ago, I wasn't a very good lender. I didn't know my stuff like I should have known that, right? But the working professionals, the good loan officers know what they're doing. And I think if you have those agents, and no fault to their own, but want to control from beginning to end of the transaction, it makes it a little bit harder for us to get our job done. If there's not good communication, that needs to be communicated over. But then the other side of things is just reliability and communication, the core concepts of what every real good salesperson should have. If I need something from the agent, because it is a this is a team sport. This is not a, hey, you sit back, hand me the contract, sit back, and then don't be involved.
Sure.
If we need to come back to you for things and it takes 10 days to get that done, or if we want to try to communicate and work through you with the client on questions that might be there, I think that's another thing too.
Communication is
Communication.
everything, right?
It really comes down to communication and how good it is. And admittedly, there's good agents and there's bad agents. There's good lenders and there's bad lenders. And I think our jobs are stressful enough. If we have agents that take care of their side of things well, they have a good upfront process and set good expectations. I think that's the biggest thing, is when an agent sets a bad expectation for what the lending experience is going to be, and we have to go back and try to don't
overpromise.
correct that makes it hard too. So those are the things I would say. And then there's also the personal level, right? Do we get along? Are you yelling at me every 5 days because I don't have the clear to close yet? I think those are things that affect it too. So, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a high performer and you have friendships with all your realtor partners, and it's probably very synergistic. I mean, if you work well with someone, you're talking, you're communicating more, you work with people like and trust, and you're also friends with those people, right?
Yep.
So, very good stuff. And just to get back to family, and how do you keep the balance? Because you're the top 1% of all mortgage. Okay, let's go back. Mortgage banker and mortgage lender. What's the difference in that?
Sure. There's loose definitions everywhere. What we typically say as a mortgage banker or a mortgage, a bank mortgage officer, and this is just from my experience. I'm fully licensed, so I have to go through a licensing course, required learning. I have to get continuing education every year. I have to test in federally and statewide to get my certification into practice. On the mortgage bank, and that's not saying one's better than the other. It's just a difference between the others. So for the bank that I worked at back in the day, the larger bank, I didn't technically need that. I didn't need that to do mortgage lending. So we also say typically there's a direct and a correspondent route. There's wholesale. There's retail. There's a whole bunch of different lines of mortgage lending when it comes down to it. A lot of it is semantics. I know incredibly talented non-licensed mortgage bankers. I know incredibly incompetent licensed mortgage lenders. I mean, it's just the way that it is. But that's kind of the differences in our certifications and how how we're able to practice and to what degree we're able to practice. So, for example, too, I can't practice or I can't lend in any state other than Minnesota. Can't do it. So if you're looking to buy a home in Hawaii, I cannot help you with that. I will help you look with you in Hawaii if you want, but I can't help you get that loan. Whereas a mortgage lender out or mortgage banker, maybe a Wells Fargo rep, they can do 50 states, stuff like that.
Sure.
So, yep.
There's plenty of abundance, plenty of opportunities right here in Minnesota, right?
Mm-hmm.
For
No
sure.
doubt. But going back to my question about family, I mean, you like to dominate. You're dominating in business. and you're also dominating as a family man, but I know you have some even bigger goals for 2019. And I know, like, Brian Buffini, I was just watching one of his things, and it's all about responsiveness and getting back to the client and so forth, nights, weekends even. It's like, how do you balance it with 4 kids?
You have 4 daughters.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, 4
What?
girls, man. My wife's listening. I don't balance it very well. She does it. You know, I'm not a big cliche guy. I've never been one, but I think the Silicon Valley cliche has it nailed. You think of the end user first, and then, you know, the product and the sales and the growth is going to happen organically. You know, that's really, I can't control the market in 2019, right? I can't control a buyer losing their job. I can't control my appraisals coming in low, or whatever the case may be. Those things don't happen very often, but I can't control that stuff. What I can control is, you know, how well are we communicating? How well do we keep the agents in the loop? How well are we communicating with agents? You know what I mean? I think the thing that differentiates us from a business perspective, and then I'll go back to the personal side, is that I've been at the low depths of what mortgage lending has, right? I've seen the bottom. I've climbed out of a 2001 Honda Civic with a door that didn't work to go knock on doors and had no business in my pipeline.
Love that story.
I've been there, right? I don't want to be back there again. So, you know, I think there's different levels to success. I operate, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but I tend to operate out of a little bit of a place of fear, because I don't ever want to be back there again, right? I've been there, I've done that. And I know that the agents that I work with and the relationships I've had, I probably won those from a lender that didn't give it 100% every day. And there's days where I wake up and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to give it 100%. Maybe I'm going to give it 95 today. We'll see what happens. There's always going to be somebody out there wanting to work with who I work with, right? Wanting to take that place. And so I go in every day just going, this is day one. Day one, I could lose it all tomorrow if I don't do the activities that have gotten me to this point, right? So professionally, that's where it comes from.
You let the fear motivate you?
I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, a big part of my job is I lose sleep over things when they go wrong, right? I don't get excited about things when they go right. That's par for the course for me. That's just kind of the way it is.
Do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
See? Exactly.
Yes.
And that's, you asked me that question day one, and it's like, man,
now that I
that's
think
a tough question.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose, you know, I don't want to fail. And, you know, that a big part of that comes in from the fact that I have a family to provide for. I've got 4 daughters. Unless something changes socially drastically in the next 18 years, I got 4 weddings to pay for. I still think equality, man, there should be half and half, but that's just my take for it. Yeah, and then on the personal side of things, you know, there's been a huge shift paradigm-wise for me about my business. I would work 60, 70, 80 hours a week a few years back, and my wife will tell you that. It was brutal, and I learned that, again, another benefit of working with great agents and people that care about you personally and you care about them personally, and we do. Every agent I work with, there's a personal side to that I care about, and that's not business-wise, that's not disingenuous. I mean it. Like,
you'll go over and help them move on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
You'll know pretty quick if we're gonna get along or not. And I'm not gonna try to be a BSer about that. Like, it's got to be organic, and we want that to happen. Because when the metal meets the meat, those genuine relationships are gonna pull through, right?
Oh, so true. It's all relationships.
Yeah, and bringing your family into it, and just knowing, like, you know, there's more than just their hours at work that they're caring about, and there's a family behind everything. And that's what we have, is we have four girls that are amazing, great kids. We're starting to get into the activities, which has been brutal, I just gotta tell you. There's nothing worse than loading 4 children into an SUV to go to gymnastics, okay? But there's also nothing better than that, right?
Yeah.
So
why do you work so hard, right?
Well, exactly. So, you know, the family side of things has just been, it's been a challenge, but it's been a blessing. We're pretty lucky.
I was reading a tweet by Ty Lopez this morning. He said, life is a constant battle of enjoying what you have and striving for more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never an easy decision.
It isn't.
Right.
It isn't.
But
Yeah.
let's change it up a little bit. What's the last app you downloaded on your phone?
Okay, that's a good one. So,
Ooh.
really excited. Just recently got my Snap Fitness membership. I want a royalty from Snap Fitness wherever you are.
There we go.
Wow.
Because
Make sure to
I'm giving
plug
you some
that.
advertising here. But they have this awesome. They have this app where you have to download to watch the TVs or to listen to the TV audio. So it's called Tunity. That's the last app I downloaded.
Oh, cool.
Also, just a plug to let everyone know, I do have a gym membership, so I'm not a.
Are you able to go to said gym?
Dude, I'm a nighttime gym person.
Oh, wow.
I'm not an early morning riser. Sorry to everyone out there that
I'm disappointed.
is Gary Villa. You're an early morning guy.
Oh, yeah.
I wake up and I've got Troy Thompson on my newsfeed, and he's been up for like 4 hours boxing or something.
No kidding. It's like, wait,
It's
what?
like, hold on, man. Let's just take it easy for a second.
But I
Like,
do have an alarm on my phone to go to bed at 8:23 p.m.
Yeah, see.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
That's
I gotta convince 4 kids to go to bed at 8. I've got a video on my phone, and I'll have to show it to you sometime of like literally a
Bedtime.
5-minute video of me trying to convince my second youngest to put pants on, and that's bedtime times 12.
boy.
Okay, so.
Super fun though.
No, but I go at nighttime. That's my time.
There you go. And you're willing to share. I mean, I don't think you do have secrets, but the secrets aren't anything but building relationships. But for the mortgage brokers out there, and this is kind of from the abundance or scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to ask you that in general. What do you believe in, abundance or scarcity?
In what way? You mean there's a...
And let's say specifically in your business.
Okay.
Like, are you willing and not afraid to share your secrets to success?
Gotcha, for sure. Yeah, I think we all as lenders have a responsibility, right? Specifically the new wave of lending that's happening right now. We got a lot of repairing to do from 10 years ago. You know, we did this to ourselves, right? And I think the number of times and the gravity of the situation really, really hits you when you get a borrower. And I just had one close last week. Great clients, we're not going to drop their name, but they had run into some stuff from the meltdown, right? The mortgage meltdown, and they lost their home.
Like a decade ago, roughly?
Yeah, and you gotta really like take those moments to say, hey, listen, like, I got you. Like, I've never lended in that era. I can't tell you that I know what it's like to charge someone 5 points to get a, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I've never done that style of lending, but we have a responsibility as lenders to originate, effectively, transparently, responsibly, right? So I always get super upset when I see these articles and these CEOs of companies posting, awesome, we're loosening lending standards, lucky for us. It's like, yeah, lucky for your pocket, but, I wouldn't go around advertising that. You know what I mean? Like, let's not advertise the fact that you can do 500 credit score loans. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there's a place for that if you're willing to educate and you're willing to be a good steward, but put people in positions that they can succeed, right? And, so from my perspective, I've always pitched, there's 2 people in lending. You're either the good guy in the movie or you're the bad guy in the movie. And it's, honestly, you've got to make that choice, because there's little decisions throughout your day that create which side of that you're going to be on. But there really is a dichotomy. You're either a good person or you're a bad person, and you know which one you are, whether you want to admit it.
For some reason, I'm thinking of Die Hard.
Yeah, right.
With John, what's John's last name?
Which one?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis
against
yeah.
Hans.
John. Yeah.
Hans is a bad guy.
It is Christmas, right? Is this a tired argument of is Die Hard a Christmas movie? But yeah. No. And I think that's really what it is there, and I think if you're a lender and you're a loan officer watching this, and this is tough, but you've got to make those decisions day in and day out. Am I going to be one of the good people of this industry or one of the bad people of this industry? And anyone that's sat down with me or networked with me knows I feel really strongly about that point.
It's very powerful.
We have to make a choice. So I'm always willing to go out there and share my vision for what the future of lending should be. Everything happens for a reason. We're going to have a little bit of a slowdown, and we talked about that, the market, and as hard as it is to buckle down and bear down and slum through it, this is good for the industry to have some inventory out there. And we'll touch on that later, I'm sure. But, I think everything kind of happens for a reason. And that's how I feel about it. So yeah, I'm always willing to share. I'm always willing to share our vision. I'm always willing to sit down and kind of coach loan officers on what has helped me. And I've got things to learn too every day, but I'm more than happy to share my vision.
So you can still be the good guy and dominate, right?
Yeah,
That's
for
right.
sure. For sure you can.
And maybe that's why you dominate.
Yeah, and do things the right way, right? And I think, I hate the saying like is it the nice guy always loses or something like that. I hate
nice
that.
guys finish last.
Yeah, nice guys finish last, because like in business that's so against what I believe, right? So yeah.
So you touched on this a little bit, and I want us to dip our beaks in it a little bit and splash it around. A decade ago, things were really loose and lax, and then you touched on it like you can see some of the things repeating themselves.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of red flags that we should be preparing for as far as a bubble kind of thing? Because history repeats itself, right?
Yeah, I think one thing that every loan officer needs to add into their vernacular in their everyday conversation with buyers is, hey, can I give you my opinion on this, right? It's so often that we don't interject our opinion in things, but, for example, we're going to do 140 of these this year, right? So
That's
I have
phenomenal.
experience in lending. My clients are very likely doing one of those this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And the next 6.
Right, exactly. Why we need to be out there giving our opinion more about what we feel is right or wrong. Now,
Of course.
we get to look at, we also have to factor in, and this gets my goat every time, is, the system says you can buy a home, for sure. Like you're in the limit. Have we factored in the fact that we're not counting your utilities, we're not counting your Netflix bill, how much money you spend at the grocery store,
Christmas lights.
Yeah, Christmas lights. Just in general, we're not focusing in on the things that don't show up on your credit report. It's your responsibility as a buyer to tell me what your spending tolerance is, and then we should probably talk about what that means for you in 2, 3, 4 years down the road, right? So,
and that's not necessarily something you need to do. If they qualify, they qualify, right?
For
But
sure.
you're looking, you have their back, even as far as, hey, you might qualify for a $500,000 mortgage.
Yep.
Maybe you
We
should only
suggest-
focus on 400.
Yeah.
Right.
Something
Or
like
maybe
that.
we have a conversation about why you think that that's realistic. Is there a raise? Is there a bonus I'm not seeing? Do you have a trust coming in that we don't know about? You should probably tell me about that trust coming in. Stuff like that.
Maybe get $1 million.
I give you my Christmas list and you can shop for your favorite lender. Those are things that I think we need to start doing as an industry, right? It's just we need to dive deeper. The guidelines are going to continue to change and evolve and maybe loosen, maybe tight. It just depends. I don't think we're going the way of the tightening right now, which is a good thing for consumers from a hearing yes perspective. But I think as that continues to grow, it's our responsibility as lenders to sit down and say, hey, you can, but should you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things like that, like
Sure.
little things that come up. And we're never going to be people to talk people off of something, but we're always going to say, have you looked at it from this perspective yet? Have you done your calculations on what this is yet? You've got a kid coming. Do you know how much childcare is?
Yes.
Because I got 4, and I can tell you, it's more expensive than my mortgage. You know what I mean? So like little things like that we should be putting in there and giving advice. That's our job, to give advice. You know what I mean?
That's great. That says a lot about you and
Yeah.
your character to
That's so true.
to do that. You talked a little bit about the shift coming up. So let's dive into that a bit with 2019 inventory being on the market longer, more inventory.
Right.
Your colleague Teresa Decker was even talking about mortgage compression, which I still don't fully even understand what that
margin
is.
compression.
Or margin,
Yeah.
margin compression. There we go.
So margin compression, number one, it doesn't and shouldn't matter to consumers. Technically, that's not really their problem, right? It doesn't matter how much the CEOs of Chase Bank,
Bank are
US
making.
Bank are making. That who
Okay.
cares about that crap,
Okay.
right? What does matter is it's a trickle down effect, where you are going to be affected as a buyer is when a company isn't making as much money off of you. I don't know what that does. I mean, some companies are like, the consumer will always be first, but you got to be wary. Some banks are going to cut corners. They got to cut staff. They got to cut technology upgrades. You got to do that stuff. Margin compression isn't something, and this is what's so funny, margin compression isn't something that just happened overnight. We've been, again, doing this to ourselves since 2008. The industry has been, slamming money in, investors, hedge funds, capital market investors, everyone's just been slamming money in, and the game has always been to beat the next market, competitor. And again, I'm not a CEO. I'm not even a branch manager. I'm not someone that looks at profit and losses every day, but I can tell you, the industry is kind of, every year we've kind of kicked the can down the road and we're finally hitting it. Q4 of last year is when we really started seeing those things happening. And essentially all it means is that the industry originators are making less money per loan than they have before. And I don't know how we correct that. I know smarter brains than me are working on ways to do that. LO comp is one thing that's got to get looked at. I think, and I'm in agreement. There's some loan officers out there that we're just getting paid too much money to do some of this stuff. But, it's not an easy job. So from our perspective, I see why that's happening. But then in addition to that, you're seeing the market, quote unquote, slowing down a little bit. That's just kind of inherent, right? People don't love moving in the middle of snowstorms, blizzards, and negative 20-degree temperatures like we have here. But I think that could be a good thing for buyers next year, is that we're going to go into a world where you're not going to have 7 offers on that home. And if anyone's listening that went through the market last spring, you get that pain point.
Crazy.
It was brutal, right? You put
for
an offer
sellers
in,
and buyers.
You get to look at the house for 15 minutes, and then you better be going back to the office to write an offer, or you're not going to get that house, right? So you don't have the time to think about this and to focus in on your financials. It's like, oh, we liked the house. It was like an 8 out of 10, and we got to offer.
It's in our range.
Right?
We got to go.
And they get burned the first 5 or 10. Then they're not even looking at the
now
house.
It's like you're getting
just
discouraged. So there's going to be this buildup of inventory. It's going to be tough, and we're going to see that, and we're going to see the days on market's going to start to accrue. But inventory levels increasing is it's not a bad thing, right? I think we got to remember that giving more options to buyers is always a good thing. It's going to be a little bit tougher on your sellers, but agents can't go in there saying, I'm going to sell your home in 24 hours. Guaranteed it's happening. That's just not going to be the world that we're in next year. And we got to be prepared for that too. So
awesome. How are you utilizing technology, specifically, and maybe even with the Rife Group and Axia?
I think to survive in this world of lending, you got to have tech. I always joke with newer agents that I sit down with is if a mortgage lender sits down in front of you and starts talking about how great their tech is, go ahead, feel free to ask for the tab, get up and leave, because no one cares. It's in one ear, out the other, right? I can't sit across from someone and be like, here's the reasons why Axia Home Loans is so good. We have this, we have this. This is par for the course, guys. Having
Everyone
good
has
tech, having user-friendly tech, having a good origination system, those are your standard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the welcome pack when you get to your job, having pen, pencil, and a working laptop. That is mortgage lending 101. You got to have good tech. You really do, to be able to survive in this industry. And that does come down to margin compression too, is because if you have inefficient tools, it's going to take longer for that loan to get through. It's going to cost more money. That's more hours. That's less profit to the mortgage originating company. So tech is evolving because it has to evolve for mortgage industries to stay alive and to stay solvent and able to be successful in their years. So tech plays a huge part. I don't ever go out there and talk about how great my tech is, because my tech isn't greater than anybody else's.
Okay.
It's about
So you're honest,
it's about
too.
the same, right? It's Ken Griffey Jr.'s bat was no better than anybody else's bat.
It is
He just
sweet.
swung
It's so
right?
sweet.
Swinging.
Sweet swing.
Yeah, and so
Angel
it's how
used to
you
play
use
baseball.
that. Did you really?
I did. I loved it.
He's a college baseball player.
I did not ever play baseball. So
Yeah, I love it.
you're welcome for
Great
that
metaphor,
analogy,
though.
though. I threw it in for you.
Oh,
Love it.
brilliant.
But
Yeah. So, tech is tech.
Yes.
What's your WIFM? When you go out and talk to a new realtor that you're targeting, or a potential new client, what's in it for me? How do you differentiate yourself?
right. So I used this the other day with one of the newer lenders in our office, and it's kind of funny. So with real estate agents specifically, right? I'm gonna come and sit down in front of them, and let's say they've been in the business for 6-7 years. if I'm walking into that meeting assuming they don't have a lending relationship, I'm an idiot. Like, they for sure do.
Yeah, of course.
And they should. They've been in this
Absolutely.
business for over half a decade. You better have somebody that you're working with, right? It's really hard to articulate why we're better or why we think we're better at what we do. We just, again, the analogy I've used is, I know when I'm coming in there, I'm like in fantasy football, right? Like, I'm the guy getting picked up off the waiver wire, and I'm going to sit on
Conner?
Well, hey, hold on now. James Conner has carried my team. I can't even call that guy. But like, that's what we aspire to be. We aspire to be the James Conner, the unexpected person that comes in and can crush it.
Philip Lindsay.
Ooh, that guy just beat me the other day. I'm pretty mad. I'm not kidding you. I can show you. Philip Lindsay single-handedly crushed me and kicked me out of the playoffs.
Oh, bummer.
But I really do like using that analogy, and I'm an analogies guy, but like, I know that when an agent is willing to sit down with me, and put me in their Rolodex or in their quick, Rolodex, the cell phone, right?
I love it.
As a contact, I'm gonna sit on the bench for a while, man. And I'm one of those fantasy pickups that's like, yeah, you're on my team. I'm never gonna use you. You're gonna sit on the bench until
You're one of the $1 players.
they just happen to be like number 2 waiver pickup and bet $1 on it, right? So, and I know that, and we've got to show that value. We've got to be willing to get out of our comfort zone and prove ourselves, right? Because it takes a lot to want to replace James Conner at the beginning of the year with a guy like David Johnson, right?
I drafted Bell.
No one ever would have
Conner.
done that. Yeah, I did too. Trust me, I did it.
So painful.
So our job is to make sure that we come in there and we're every single time we're running for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns every time, every single time. And that's either communicating like crazy, that's having all the tools in place, that's having the right programs that are going to work. I always cringe when I have to say no to an agent that's like, hey, here's one of my turn down deals at this bank. Can you do it? And I'm like, no, I can't, because this is not a lendable loan. But, I can knock it out of the park for you on the next one, and whatever the case may be. So we've built our process around making sure that we are every single time leaving customers feeling really, really happy with what they've got, making sure that we're delivering that closing on time. We're communicating with the borrower every step of the way, giving them absolutely no reason to be upset with the process or the fact that we were referred. And that's what we've got to do. That's the WIFM is we really overdo it on making sure everyone's happy, and then delivering on what we said we were going to do at the beginning. And we have marketing tools, we have stuff like that. But most importantly, we want to create a really awesome relationship with the agents that we're with. And we don't work with every agent. I'm not knocking on every single door right now. We want to work with really, really good real estate agents, and we hope that they want to work with us. But it takes time, and it takes a lot of time to develop that. And we don't try to force anything either. So
you have that initial meeting, you say what you just said, which, I mean, you're a super sharp guy. So if I was a realtor, I would be like, all right, I'd definitely be willing to talk to Ken and give him a deal because he sounds sharp. I'm sure he is sharp. You've done, 140 deals about this year?
Yeah, we'll
which
close out close to that, yeah.
Definitely top 1%, which is awesome. But yeah, that's great. Angel, do you have any?
Yeah, the one question I have now is talking more about tech. So, you have your relationships and stuff with the realtors and agents that you have. But now with things like Nextdoor and Uber and Amazon getting into real estate, what does the mortgage industry look like when real estate is becoming maybe more of like an automated tech type of, and a lot less of the personal real estate agent?
Yeah,
style?
I think that's a great question. And I think it depends on who you ask, right? You ask the people running it, and they're going to be like, this is the future. This is it. And then you ask people that are in our jobs, and we're like, good luck.
Yeah, I don't see how
good
this
luck
is
with
gonna,
that. But it's amazing, like, no one thought Quicken was going to take off the way they did, right? And they did. I mean, there's always going to be a demographic of DIYers, right? Do-it-yourselfers, and they can get through it. And
I'm going to save a few $100,000 and I don't care.
100,000 would be
make it
incredible. If there was $100,000 in savings to be had between me and Quicken, I'd say go Quicken every time. But like, mortgage lending has to get techier for sure. We're at a point, and that's from my perspective, that's my CEO's job, that's my COO's job, that's my CTO's job, is to get those tools in place and let me originate right now. But they better get moving on that stuff, right? For sure. There is.
You focus on the relationships, right?
I focus on the relationships.
Of course.
And if we, I just 2 years ago, I stopped taking applications on a piece of notebook paper. It was secured and locked up in my drawer. I promise. If the DOC's watching this, it was secured. But like I was taking paper 1003s and paper applications, and things changed. They evolved. I don't do that anymore. Number one, because I'm not making nearly as many mistakes because I can read a computer screen, and sometimes I couldn't read my writing. Silly things like that. But like, so tech's going to evolve, and we as lenders have to be willing to adapt to that. It's going to play a huge part in what you're saying. And will Amazon get into the arena of mortgage lending? I mean, probably. I mean, Bezos acquired Whole Foods. I never thought that was going to happen.
Right.
They got you can never count that stuff out. And I think those are things that are, as much as we're going to hate them as competition, those are things that are going to drive us to do better and be better as mortgage origination companies, for sure. But I don't know, and I don't think Amazon knows what kind of space they're gonna, what kind of role they're gonna play in the mortgage space. I don't know that they know that. What I can tell you is that of the top 30 mortgage origination firms in the country, okay, like think about that for a second. I read the number somewhere, like Quicken Loans is like number 1 in mortgage originations nationwide. Do you know how much market share they have?
10.
Probably less.
It's like, I think it's like 4 or 5%. I could be wrong on that, but check me. Loan Depot, big name nationwide lender, I think they're at like 2% or something like, or I don't, it's just crazy the amount of like, that means there are literally thousands of mortgage lenders out there, and people are using literally 1,000 different types of mortgage lenders. So,
well, Brian Buffini was talking about who's the most loyal consumer out there as far as demographics. Like there's the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials.
Yeah. I'd say probably the boomers,
That's what I think too. They're the least loyal.
Yeah.
He said the millennials, they will look online,
Yeah.
see your presence online, but they want to buy from. They will ask people who to buy from, and then
Yeah.
they will want they desire that relationship.
So the hardest part about lending, and if I could get a megaphone in real estate in general, is, and sometimes I wonder if I should be saying this at all, which I do. I've come to the conclusion that I am going to say it because I feel this way. We formed so many bad habits after the crash for real estate, okay? Like, and I know this sounds a little bit abstract, but follow me here for a second. I feel like we've created so many bad habits in real estate lending, and here's why. Prior to 2008, well, okay, let's just say leading after the crash, we created an entire generation of buyers that believed that 3% was par for the course, was the standard rate, okay? When in relative terms, if you look back at a 50-year mortgage snippet, 3% is like, what?
Yeah.
What in the world? But there is an entire group of people that bought their first homes in that span where 3 to 3.5% was the standard 30-year fixed rate. That's a bad habit, because now people think of it in terms of like every eighth of a point is like, oh my gosh. Which, don't get me wrong, those are important things, and with the home values increasing like the way that they are, that makes a difference. We had an entire group of sellers that were selling their home for the first time that felt multiple offers was the way to go. And selling is easy. I don't care. I can do FSBO. I can, for sale by owner this thing. There's nothing to it, right? I got multiples. I shouldn't have hired that agent. I had multiples on the first day.
Look at all the money that agent made.
Man, this is going to end soon. And the role that tech plays, the role that trusted advisors play,
relationships,
hugely important. And there is going to be a sharpening of pencils and a sharpening of edges with regards to the professionals in this industry, because times are going to get a little bit weirder. They're going to get tougher.
Do you see a lot of an exodus of realtors and mortgage professionals?
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, a lot of people, I hope not. I hope people don't pack up their bags and go, because I think the more people we have in this, the more innovative we become as a whole. But there's going to be some stuff that happens. There's going to be some cutting, and there's only so many loan purchases or home purchases that happen in a year, and that's not enough to support 30,000 mortgage lenders or 50,000 mortgage lenders. I get it, but I hope it doesn't happen.
How many
I really
mortgage
don't.
lenders are there in Minnesota? Do you know?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I wish I knew,
Yeah.
but I should probably know that. I don't know the answer to that
And
question.
speaking of mortgage lenders, I mean, you did mention earlier you'd be willing to talk to them if there's realtors out there or mortgage lenders. I'm sure it's pretty easy, folks. Just Google Ken Rife mortgage and you'll find his information. What's the easiest way for people to reach out to you, Ken?
Phone. The posted number on my site is my cell phone. I don't have an office phone. So just call me, text me, shoot me a message, add me on Facebook. I'm around. I'd love to connect and help out where I can, and do what I can.
No doubt.
Now, real estate agents and other mortgage brokers, we're going to find out right now if you actually like this guy, because we are going to do our speed round.
Speed round. Oh boy.
Okay, are
no
you
one
ready?
told me about this.
This is why I do it. I
All
love
right.
it. Your favorite Minnesota city?
Favorite Minnesota city is Minneapolis. I do love
I
it.
thought you were going to say Mankato.
There's just so much to do, man. No, I was not gonna say Mankato. Sorry. I do love Mankato. I got a heart for it, but no. I love Minneapolis, the arts district. My wife and I are, on the weekends we turn into like 60-year-old homebodies, but we do love going into the city and seeing plays and stuff like that. So
Nice.
yep.
Your favorite restaurant?
Ooh, we argue about this one all the time. Favorite restaurant is probably gonna be, if I had to be honest with you, Redstone, man. They got the
Redstone's
best.
great.
They got the best salmon.
Legit.
Like it's
Maple
just
Grove.
steady Eddie. You can't go wrong there.
Love it. Now, your favorite fast food restaurant? If you're going to go fast food, where are you going?
It's Culver's, dude.
Oh,
Just there
man.
yesterday.
That
Concrete
Butterburger-
mixers,
Burgers.
too.
Butterburger is deadly.
Uh-huh.
So
Your favorite candy?
favorite candy, Reese's peanut butter cups. Duh.
Your favorite meal of all time? You're on death row. What do you eat?
Favorite meal of all time? Oh my gosh. Dude, that's a tough one. I love sushi. Just give me sushi.
No Butterburgers?
You know what? I take it back. There's a restaurant in not Butterburgers. That I don't need death row if that's the case. It's gonna happen organically. There's a place in town in Chanhassen, Minnesota called Bonsai Sushi and Korean Grill. They have the best ramen ever. Check it out. It's in a
Ooh.
strip mall. They're the coolest people ever. The owner serves you, and it's the best
Bonsai Sushi,
food ever. I can eat
Chanhassen.
that all day.
Your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Can it be a trilogy?
Sure.
All right. Nerding out here for a second.
I love it. See, this is what I wanted to know.
Lord of the Rings, man. I mean, I
Wow,
can have that thing on
nice.
playback
Oh, cool.
all day long, just rolling. Yep.
Wow, your favorite Hobbit from Lord of the Rings?
There is no favorite Hobbit. They're all terrible. I mean, Frodo's the only useful one, right? Let's be honest here.
Your favorite cartoon from your childhood?
Favorite cartoon. Funny story. Growing up, we had one channel in my parents' house, and it was CBS 12. So I'd say my favorite cartoon, Ninja Turtles, Teenage
Oh,
Mutant.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. Your favorite book?
Favorite book. Is the Bible cheating? Big fan of the Bible.
That's a pretty good book.
Best self-help book,
Yeah,
motivational
it's
book
the
out
best
there.
one.
I love it.
Can't go wrong there.
No.
Awesome. Your favorite band or artist? Music artist?
I was gonna say Nickelback just to troll everybody.
I was gonna say, that's a troll right there. Oh, man.
Favorite band or artist? Queen.
Queen,
Gotta go
classic.
Oh, have you seen the movie?
So good. No, I haven't been able.
Is it
4
out
kids,
yet?
man. I haven't.
Oh, I know.
I'm not gonna be able to see
Watch
that
that.
now. That thing's on DVD.
I do want to
release,
see that.
so,
I know.
yeah.
That's the way it goes, isn't it?
That's funny. Your favorite song?
Favorite
Doesn't
song.
have to be from the artist. But it could
Bohemian
be.
Rhapsody, dude.
You
No,
have
gotta
to.
love it.
I love it. Your
Gotta love
favorite animal?
Favorite animal?
Yes.
All right, I've never owned one, obviously, and I would love to someday. Kangaroos are the best,
They are sweet.
right? Are they not the
I
best?
love them. Hopping around everywhere. They get to,
I'm a
Cute as-
sloth guy.
Cute as a button, but like you mess with them, they'll punch you in the face.
Oh, I
type
know.
deal.
Do you see the one where the kangaroo is?
Oh yeah, did you see
Oh, the dog?
the Aussie? Is it
Yeah,
the
he
Aussie
punches
man?
the kangaroo in the face.
I did the one with the Aussie man announcing it.
Oh, I watched that
It's
too.
one of my most replayed videos.
Ozzy Man is awesome.
So great.
I love it. Your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby? Oh man, I love competitive like sports, like old guy leagues. So like if I could pick it, just anything competitive. I love beach volleyball, sand volleyball, or like going to play open hockey or something. Just whatever gets the competitive juices
there you
flowing
go.
again.
Do you get a chance to do that much?
I don't. But me and my good buddy Jay, we did a men's league during lunch last year, and it was just a bunch of real estate agents and people that
perfect.
had a little bit of autonomy in their day, and we'd go to the ice rink at like 12 o'clock and just put on some skates and play. So that was good. That was real
cool.
good. Yep.
And around this Christmas time, your favorite holiday?
It's Christmas. I mean, if you walked into my house right now, you'd be like, yeah, this place is
Just smelling like
What's wrong?
cookies and
What's wrong with you?
spices
Yeah.
and Christmas
Yeah.
lights.
We love Christmas, man. It's like it's weird. It gets weird around our
Favorite
house,
Christmas
right?
movie?
Elf.
Oh, yeah.
Little
Elf
Will Ferrell
is-
going
oh,
on.
man,
I think
that's
he's 15
fun.
years old.
And it's
Can you
great
believe that?
still.
And fun fact for all the watchers out there: did you know that the elf that plays the supervisor in the workshop, it's Ralphie from the old Christmas movie?
No.
Wow.
Look it up. That's Ralphie, the guy with the red elf outfit and the glasses. It's coming up to him about like Buddy's
Ralphie's
Coda.
the brother. Or
No, that's Ralphie, the
Ralphie
little blonde
is
kid with the
blonde
glasses
kid,
that's gonna
okay.
shoot his eye out. With
Yep.
that is Ralphie.
Randy's the brother. Okay.
Watch
That's
it.
crazy.
That's
Your
crazy
favorite athlete?
Ooh, that is a good one. My favorite athlete. You know, I'm a huge Larry Fitz fan. I know he's
Larry
not.
Fitzgerald,
I know he's not a Viking, but like Minnesota
Maybe next
born
year.
dude, right? Well,
Holy
maybe.
family Catholic, yeah.
Just a good dude all around. Like never made waves. Responsible, travels the world. Really, really good at what he does.
works
His
hard.
butt off. And could you
Mm-hmm.
imagine being a wide receiver in this league at his age and still being effective? Like
Oh.
I'd say 30 teams out of 32 would pick that guy up in a heartbeat.
Oh,
You're right.
no doubt. Your favorite sports team?
It's the Vikings. It was the Wild for a while, but big fan of the Vikings.
Your favorite place you've ever visited?
I'd say my most enjoyable vacation ever was probably to London when I went with my family. We got to go to
so
London
cool.
and then went to Paris and checked out the Louvre and all that. That was cool. Really
Love
cool.
it. That's
Got to bring the wife and kids now.
Yeah, well,
Part
kids
two.
gotta grow up a little bit first before I spend money on that. So
Love it.
Oh, so fun.
Well, thank you, Ken Rife, for
thanks,
being on.
man.
Ken
Appreciate
Rife with-
being here.
Oh, it was great, Ken. I really appreciate
We
it.
love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening. Again, my name is Angel Talamontes with Quick Leads Local.
And Troy Thompson, Pinnacle Insurance in Minnesota.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, we're out. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.